welcome to STACHE SPORTS episode 34. Man, I wish it's 34 degrees outside. It's really cold outside here in Pennsylvania still, and we still have a lot of snow on the ground from the snowstorm that we just had, and there might be another snowstorm coming right behind it. It's going to be a wild winter up here in Pittsburgh. Later last night, we found out that Bill Belichick, the former Patriots head coach, will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That is wild. I wonder if it's because the NFL and the voters are trying to discipline him for the cheating he did while he was coaching. I know he had a couple years where people might think Deflategate and other scandals where he cheated on and cheated during it, but he was a good coach even if he did cheat a couple times. There's a lot of cheating in sports, no matter what sport it is. Let's face it. But he was a good football coach, even though I didn't like him because he'd always knock out my Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, and he'd always knock out my Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs, and I didn't like that. And he had one of the greatest, and you could also say that he did have one of the greatest quarterbacks in Tom Brady, but helped lead him to all of his 6 Super Bowl titles he had. But he did have him well coached during those Super Bowl runs. I do think he'll be in the Hall of Fame, but I wonder if it's because he was caught cheating or other scandals is why he's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I do believe, even though I don't like him, that he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer since he did win all of his Super Bowls with the Patriots and did have a dynasty in New England, but we'll see. I do think one day he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But that's also like Pete Rose, he'd seen in baseball. I wish he was in the Hall of Fame too, even though he did steroids and stuff. But that's another story for another day. But I thought it was interesting that Bill Belichick won't be going to the Hall of Fame his first year when he led all the Patriots off that success. And yes, like I said before in this segment, I do realize that you could also say that Brady was it, and he didn't do so good after Brady left, but he was there for Brady. He was there for all the Brady years and did lead him to the 6 Super Bowls. And other players that are in the Hall of Fame, but I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But that's wild that he won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That was big news last night. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that and where that goes down the line. I wonder what Bill Belichick thinks about it. I know he's at North Carolina still, but he had a really good-looking lady friend. But I wonder what he thinks about it. I know he'll be in the Hall of Fame one day, but that's just wild, not the first ballot Hall of Famer after winning all of his Super Bowl wins with the New England Patriots. But we'll see what happens. Also, the Cleveland Browns hired Todd Monken, the old Ravens offensive coordinator, who will be 60 years old by the time he starts his career. So they're not making Mike McCarthy look much younger since he's only a couple years older than him. But Todd Monken will get his first head coaching job in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. Maybe he can make Pro Bowl quarterback Shedeur Sanders, which I find funny that Shedeur Sanders is in the Pro Bowl. I mean, he had a decent year, but the Pro Bowl kind of has lost its lackluster. I mean, it used to be the week before the Super Bowl, and you would have something to look forward to watching this week, even if you watch it or not. And they used to play a real football game in the Pro Bowl, and now they're just playing a flag football game. I mean, flag football is good too. I like flag football, but it's just not as entertaining as it used to be back in the day when I was a child. I mean, they used to go to Hawaii and never play. They used to go to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl and have it a week before. And I thought people at least, even though they didn't really care about it, I think they gave it more of a try than they do now. And I think it was more an important game than it is now. I mean, now it's on the same weekend as the Super Bowl. It's Tuesday of this coming up week, and the Super Bowl is next Sunday. Not this coming up Sunday, but the Sunday after that. And it's also in San Francisco. I mean, who wants to go to San Francisco to play the Pro Bowl? But anyway, I don't know why but anyway, the reason Shedeur Sanders is in the Pro Bowl is because other people did not want to go and play in that meaningless football game, and he got in by an extra substitute. But we'll see if he has Shedeur Sanders as quarterback, or if it goes back to Dylan Gabriel, or if it goes in a whole different direction. It'll be interesting to see what the Cleveland Browns do. But I don't know how good his hire is going to be, because I think the Browns have bigger problems in the management system. I think that's why nobody really wanted to go coach the Browns. And a lot of people are taking a name out of the race, even if all these reports are true. I think it's more of a management, but we'll see. I don't know how good the Browns are going to be if it's higher, but we'll see what happens. I mean, he did have Lamar Jackson and Henry in Baltimore, but Derrick Henry in Baltimore, but they're two good players. So we'll see what he does with the Browns. But also, the rumors now that Jim Schwartz didn't get the job, the Browns defensive coordinator, is he might be departing ways. If these rumors are true and the reports become true and factual and the Browns actually part ways because he's still technically, I think, under contract, I wouldn't mind him coming to pick for the Steelers. I mean, he really did turn around that Browns defense last year and had a couple games last year where the Browns defense helped him win that game. And it was basically thanks to the Browns defense that they won that game and not really the Browns offense. So I wouldn't mind Jim Schwartz. That could be the ultimate turnaround to try to go coach the Steelers because you were upset that you didn't get the Browns head coaching job. But we'll see who we hire as a defensive coordinator. That's going to be an important role under Mike McCarthy's new era. And yes, I know people don't like Mike McCarthy. It's okay. You got to get on board from now because he's our head coach. Like him or not, Mike McCarthy's here to stay for the next at least a year or two or next few years. So you got to start liking him. I wasn't on board for it, but now I'm starting to get on board. Today, the Steelers hired one of their first coaches. The Steelers hired one of their first coaches. And they hired wide receivers coach Adam Henry, who for the last 3 seasons was the Buffalo Bills receivers coach. They're hiring him to the same position, so he'll be the Steelers' new receiving coach under Mike McCarthy. Interesting fact. Henry is a long-time wide receivers coach. A long time ago, he coached LSU where he had Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry at LSU, and he's been bounced around from other teams to other teams. His most recent stop before the Bills was the Dallas Cowboys under Mike McCarthy, where he coached receivers like CeeDee Lamb and other receivers in the Cowboys organization. And Shakir was pretty good this year for the Buffalo Bills. So it'll be interesting to see how he coaches our receivers. Maybe he can get the best out of Roman Wilson. I mean, that's a project that he's going to have to do. If the Steelers believe in Roman Wilson, who knows? He was a healthy scratch a lot last year, so I don't even know if he's going to even be on the team in the near future. But they do need to get more receiver help, no matter who it is, and a lot younger receivers to help go around with DK Metcalf. Will help the DK Metcalf. Less of his receivers coach can do it, but it's nice to have Mike McCarthy have one of his familiar coaches on staff as a receivers coach that worked with him in the Cowboys. And he was a decent receivers coach for the Bills, so we'll see what happens with that. I think it's a decent hire. I think it's a decent hire because he's familiar with the coaching staff. But like I said before, it's going to be who he hires as our defensive coordinator. That's the most important part because Mike McCarthy is going to be calling offensive plays. So even if he hires a young offensive coach who can maybe learn it into him and maybe take over if Mike McCarthy resigns or retires after his years in Pittsburgh. But I don't know about that. It'll be interesting to see who is the offensive coordinator because we're still going to have an offensive coordinator. But Mike McCarthy, for at least this year, will be calling the plays as of right now, as he said in his presser yesterday. So that's still an important coach. And hope we can get a young coach that can help coach him along too under Mike McCarthy. But we'll see who we get there and how he fits the rest of our offensive staff. But the defensive staff is going to be the most important since Mike McCarthy won't be calling the defensive plays. We need to get a good defensive coordinator in the system that can run a good defense and make picks for a defense, the top defense again with TJ Watt and company. But we'll see what happens. I think it'd be cool if they hire Jim Schwartz. If Jim Schwartz does not just actually getting fired and let go because he's upset that the Browns will give him a head coaching job. But we will see what happens with that. Well, hopefully we get a good defensive coordinator. That's going to be the key one under Mike McCarthy to see who we get as a defensive coordinator. Hope it's good. I mean, he did have a couple of decent defensive coordinators when he was at Dallas. He had Dan Quinn, who's now the head football coach of the Washington Redskins or Commanders, whatever you want to call them. I call them the Redskins, but it's still the Redskins to me. But anyway, he's the head coach of the Redskins, and they've had other defensive coordinators that were decent. So we'll see what he does here. Hopefully, he can get a good defensive coordinator. That's going to be the key role, like I've been saying before. Cleveland hired Jim Schwartz as a new Cleveland hired Todd Monken, the old Ravens coach. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what he does at Cleveland. The Jets hired a new defensive coordinator too, and some pass coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. I think he's a coach, but Aaron Glenn is a defensive coordinator coach, and he'll be calling the plays most likely. Jets anyway, still for defense. So we'll see how good he can do as a defensive coordinator, even though he won't be calling the plays, in New York. My NHL is wild right now in the NHL. To think about the Buffalo Sabres, who are always not that good year after year, or right now if the season ends today in a playoff spot and we still haven't got a Grand Theft Auto 6, but we can get a Buffalo Sabres playoff run. Who would have thought that the Buffalo playoff Sabres run might happen before we can get a new Grand Theft Auto game? But it could possibly be. The Buffalo Sabres are looking a lot better this year than they had in years past. The Buffalo Sabres are looking a lot better than they have in years past. I can't believe they're in the playoffs right now. But there's still a lot of season left, so it's still way too early to be talking about playoffs. We still have to get to the winter break for the Olympics and other stuff. And the Penguins are playing really hot right now. Brian Russ has been suspended for 3 games for a head that he did, but I don't think it's right. I know it's not right to hit people in the head and do what he did, but there's been other players in years past that have done way worse and didn't get as far punishment as Brian Russ did. I know they're trying to make an example of it and not make it a regular thing and hope people don't do it more often because it's not right against the rules. But I don't think a 3-game suspension is right. But anyway, the Penguins play again tomorrow night against the Blackhawks, so we'll have a video talking about that. Hopefully the next person can step up in the absence of Brian Russ because Brian Russ will be missed. But anyway, I think the Rangers beat over the New York Islanders tonight. Even though the Rangers under coach Mike Sullivan, who's a new coach who used to be the Penguins head coach last year, haven't been doing so hot in the hockey world, I do think they upset or beat the Islanders tonight in the New York rivalry. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Philadelphia 76ers, or the Philadelphia Flyers, excuse me. I think the Sixers beat I think the Blue Jackets beat the Flyers. But that might be a tough game. The Flyers are looking okay this year and are looking to fight for a playoff spot. But I think the Blue Jackets beat them. And I got the Colorado Avalanche over the Senators. The Colorado Avalanche are looking really good this year, and I think they're going to win. We're looking like one of the better teams out of the Western Conference. Out of the Western Conference. My NBA picks tonight are Boston over Atlanta. I think the Celtics are going to continue their winning ways. The Celtics have been hot of late. I think Jaylen Brown has a 30 or 49 point game. Derek White has a 30 or 30 point game tonight too. I think the Celtics win big in Atlanta and continue their winning ways. Under coach, I think the Celtics win and continue their winning ways over Atlanta. Like I said, I think Derek White has a 30 game night, and I think Jaylen Brown has a 30 or more point game night and has a lot of assists and could have a triple-double tonight for the Boston Celtics over the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Cavs beat the Lakers in a close game. I think Luka Doncic, that's good for the Lakers, but I think the Cavs pull out a close win. I got the Bulls over to Indiana. I got the Magic over the Heat. Bulls are going to beat Indiana because I don't think Indiana's that good this year because they're losing the top star to torn Achilles and they haven't looked so good. But the Bulls are looking a lot better. The Bulls are looking better of late. I got the Magic over the Heat because I think the Magic are finally going to win. I got Toronto over to New York. I got Charlotte over Memphis. I got Minnesota over Dallas. And I got the Warriors over the Jazz and the Spurs over the Rockets. I think the Spurs beat the Rockets. I think Victor Yamba has a big game for the Spurs tonight. I think the Warriors win and beat the Jazz because the Jazz haven't been looking good of late. I think the Magic win over the Heat, but in a close game. I think the Magic finally get back on a winning way after being on a long losing streak of late. And being on a losing streak of late. I think Boston wins, like I said, and wins a big game. I really like the Boston Celtics and like what they're doing this year when they don't have one of their superstars. But we'll see what happens to that. We'll see what happens to that. We'll see what happens. If it's more NFL news tomorrow, or breaking NFL news, I'll keep bringing it to you. The two teams right now that still need a head coach as of this video airing are the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders. It'll be interesting to see who they get as a coach. But we'll have another video tomorrow, and if there's more breaking NFL news past this video airing, we'll bring it up tomorrow. But let's hope that this new coach, Adam Henry, the new receivers coach for the Steelers, can be good and bring us new receivers that we can have. We need more good receivers. Because back in the good old days, when the Steelers were playing for championships under Bill Cowher and playing for AFC championships, they had more than one good receiver. They had Hines Ward and other receivers Heath Miller was a good tight end. We need to get back. We need to get back to the Pat Fryer move and have a good tight end in our system. If that's Darnell Washington or Pat Fryer move next year, we need to have somebody in there. And we'll see if Aaron Rodgers comes back. I know people are all up in arms that Aaron Rodgers might be coming back from what he said yesterday, but I don't know if he'll be coming back yet still. I think he might retire and go elsewhere. I don't know what I want. We'll see what happens with that and all the sports news. Thank you for watching my videos. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. This is STACHE Sports signing off. Thank you for watching my videos.